Welcome. This is Jane Gardner, and welcome to Solopreneur Success Strategies. Today, it's World Domination Wednesday, where we talk about you and your customer. And we are going to be talking quickly about successful salespeople and the fundamentals of how to be a successful salespeople today. I just thought it was such a great presentation. I thought I'd go over it today. And then after that, I think we'll be talking more in depth about how to sell to customers. So for today, let's look at how to be a salesperson. So if you don't know me, I'm Jane Gardner. I work with my husband in our structural engineering firm, and we've been doing that for 20 years in our home business over in Western Canada. And I'm an artist, and we love to travel, and I have a dog. So that's who I am. Who are you? So let's go over and have a look at the fundamentals of a successful salesperson. So here we go. This is a great presentation and with some of the fundamentals of a successful salesperson. For you to be successful, you have to be a rainmaker that consistently closes deals and metaphorically makes the money rain down. Well, of course, we all want to be a rainmaker, having the money rain down, and I can certainly see a video of money raining down, and I have a few of those, but we'll work on that another time. But here are some tips to help you become your company or to be your own rainmaker and make profit. So you should always, of course, treat your customer like your most valuable asset. You must remember that they are the ones who are providing you with the income, obviously, and they are going to be an asset to your business, and you should be able to do a lot of things to be able to retain them in your business, whether it's as a friend or another purchase or whatever. You need to remember your customers are your most valuable asset, and so you should set goals and develop your business skills in order to have a successful business. So becoming a rainmaker, you should always manage time wisely. You should be always looking at your schedule and figuring out what I'm doing right now to make money. Is what I'm doing now going to move me closer to money? And if not, I should be out there going and getting prospects and leads in order to bring customers into my business. Another important asset for a successful salesperson is to be able to listen to what other people are saying, as well as listening to what they are really saying. And I think I've spoken about this before on World Domination Wednesday when we were looking at turning a prospect into customer. You can go back on my YouTube channel and look for my World Domination Wednesday playlist at jgtips.com/YouTube, and you can have a listen to some of those ideas on how you should be able to listen successfully, and that means interpreting what you're hearing in order to create a prospect into a customer. And of course, some of the things that some people never do is to ask for the business, ask for the sale. I'm sure you've heard that, but that is very important to always have a call to action. Now, I don't today because I've been busy, but I really thought this was a useful presentation today in order to do, so we're going to do it, and maybe next time we'll ask for the sale. And so, of course, you should always follow up with your customers once you make the presentation for the sale. Always follow up in a few days to see what they think and whether or not they were interested in what you were interested in selling them. So successful salespeople often exhibit similar personality traits. These personality traits will help you engage your customers and close deals. These traits include persistence. Well, as I mentioned before, you have to be able to follow up after you've made the sale presentation, so persistence is always good. You do have to listen to them when they say no, but that does not mean that you can't think of ways of persuading them that you have the assets and the bonuses you can give them in order to maybe make the offer more attractive. You have to be likable, obviously. People don't really like talking to people they don't like. and you have to have the ambition to want the sale. But of course, that is sort of standard for any salesperson who is selling, is to be ambitious enough to want the sale. You have to be confident in what you're doing, so you have to be able to recognize that you have the ability to sell, and so that makes you confident. You have to be passionate to be able to do all the struggles and challenges in your business, so you have to have the passion. You have to be a self-starter, so you have to be the one who gets on the phone and makes a link to a prospect and talks to them. You have to be hardworking, of course, and you have to be disciplined in your time, especially, and disciplined in your presentation as well. As you have to be persuasive. Now, of course, persuasion is relative, and we can have a further discussion on that in another episode. We can look at Cialdini, who has the art of the persuasion, I think it's called. I'm just playing it by ear right now. But you have to be persuasive, and you have to be adaptable. So if you're talking to someone, you have to be able to adapt and change maybe what you want to sell them in order to, while you're listening to them and seeing what they want and being able to adapt to what they want. You have to be inquisitive. You have to be willing to ask questions. And of course, you have to be responsible. And of course, that is always standard when it comes to selling, is being responsible. So, dressing for success. If you want to land a big deal, then dress the part. Study what successful salespeople are wearing. Dress to match your market, i.e., is it a sports company? Is it a very traditional old school business that you're going to make a presentation at? Or is it a laid back startup where they're always wearing jeans? Always follow any company dress code and always make sure that, of course, you are comfortable. And if you want to look the part of a successful salesperson, then clothes alone won't do it. You have to have the right body language as well. You have to make eye contact. You have to stand straight. You have to use controlled gestures. And of course, you have to speak clearly, which sometimes for me is not always happening. But then I have a cold. So you have to be able to communicate, basically, and look the part of being confident and successful. You need to smile more than you do. You need to keep your breathing under control and stay confident when you're making a presentation. Successful salespeople will often have to give presentations to people. Make sure you knock your presentations out of the park with these tips. Be prepared. Practice your presentation more than once. Go over it at home, in front of the mirror. These are some of the keys. Is being successful in a presentation is being prepared and knowing everything about what you're going to present. And it's the single best step to delivering a great presentation. And here are a few more great tips when making a presentation. Is record yourself doing the presentation in order to time your presentation, so you know how long it is, whether it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, or sometimes what turns out with slide presentations, it can turn out to be 30 minutes and you're boring everyone. So it's always good to record yourself to time your presentation and see if you can either add more content or delete some content in order to get a nice value for what your presentation length will be. And of course, you have to know your product very well in order to be able to talk about it, and know your market, know the people in your market and what their challenges are and what their struggles are and why they would want to buy from you your product or service. And if you know that, then you can speak to them on their level and talk about their issues and give them your solution for those issues. And of course, you always have to be confident in your product or service. So you have to project your confidence. I'm even speaking more confident just saying that. Asking the right questions, being able to ask the right questions can really help a salesperson engage a potential client. So you have to ask open-ended questions so that you can find out more from your client what their issues are, or maybe what their questions might be about your service or product. So make sure that you are able to let them talk more than you do so that you can listen and take notes of what they are saying and find out as much information as possible about what their needs are. And then you can, of course, from that, be able to react to the objections of why they may not want to buy it, find out why they may not want to buy it, and see if there's any way you can provide a solution to create the possibility of a sale. As well, you can read people. Now, this is a big subject for me. I could do a couple of hours on this, but we'll just go over reading people here. Before approaching potential clients, it is always important to get a read on them so you know how to approach. So you have a look at them and see, are they hurried? Are they controlled in their movements? Are they calm or flustered or excitable? Watch their demeanor and approach them using info gleaned from above steps. Whether they're hurried, maybe they won't feel like listening to a long presentation. Maybe you can get their attention quickly by creating a interrupt in your presentation so they go what and wake up. If they're distracted, and are they controlled, and maybe you need to add some passion to your presentation in order to get them into another interrupt if they're of course controlled. So yeah, you have to also read people before you actually talk to them and see what their level of distraction or their level of calm is at the time, and whether or not they'll be receptive to what you're going to say. So we've gone over some of the ideas for being a successful salesperson, and here are some of the best practices for you. So you treat your client or customer as though they were your best friend. So don't always just sell to them. You can have a chat and, of course, treat them like your best friend. You must respect your clients or customers, and of course, cherish your customers as an asset and someone who you want to have a long-term relationship with. You must listen to their needs very well and understand what their needs are. Sometimes that can be difficult, so it's a matter of asking open-ended questions to ask them what they really want, and present your product or service from a value perspective over focusing on the price of your product or service. And that will be much easier to sell because you're showing the value of what you are selling rather than just looking at the price. And of course, over deliver, whether it's in a presentation or in when it's giving information about your product or service, or even adding bonuses or other things that they might need, adding them into your price in order to over deliver. So you should always thank your client for taking the time and listening to your presentation, and then also follow up with them in a few days in case they need anything else, if they have taken you up on the offer, or just follow up with them and find out what they thought about the presentation, get some feedback. Maybe there were some questions that weren't answered that you could answer, etc. And always stay in contact with your clients and customers, even if they don't express an interest in purchasing more at the moment. You want to keep your current customers because they will be an asset to your business, because they could possibly buy from you again and again if you provide them with value and you have a long-term relationship with them. So there you go. There's some ideas for you on the best practices of a successful salesperson. And I'm going to start probably this from the view of creating a further training, using this as the model and outline for my further shows. Because some of those things we could talk a lot about on, especially persistence and cherishing your client or customers, and listening is a very important skill to have. So there you go. I thought this would be a great way to start on a new episode on how you can become, I guess, a successful salesperson. I'll have to write down that title. Thank you for helping me write by listening, and I will hope to hear you. Have you give me some feedback later. You can go to my YouTube channel at http://jgtips.com. That's jgtips.com/YouTube. We all know how to spell YouTube these days. And you can subscribe, and you'll get notifications when my next episode will be. So thank you for listening, and it worked out pretty well. I've got a new course. So let's get started on it, and I'll talk to you later.